Hello, I'm back with my YouTube channel, Back to Basics with Lisa B. That's me. One alcoholic talking to another about recovery and trying to... The reason I'm doing these videos is to try and get the stigma of the alcoholic and it all being hidden and that kind of thing, because it is still quite an old-fashioned stigma sometimes. So I'm trying to do these short videos, just trying to let people know that if you talk about it, it's okay, really. That's about it. And if you do enjoy this video, if you wouldn't mind liking it, sharing it and subscribing to my channel so we can get the word out there even more, that would be great. Thank you. So today I'm joined by Kerri, who's going to have... We're just going to be literally chatting to each other, because this is what we do to keep sober.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So I don't know if you want to go back to the start or... We're just going to have a chat. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for having me on, Lisa.
That's all right.
Yeah, so I was born in a little village called Selsey, where I live, obviously now. That not as far as I know.
Village, was it Selsey?
It was. It's, I think it's a town now, but it used to be a village. But yeah, there was no, as far as I know, there's no alcoholism or addiction in the family. We originally, my dad's side came from Ireland years ago, so I presume it's from there somewhere.
Yeah.
But
see, it's odd, isn't it? Because some people have got it all in their family.
Yeah.
And like
yeah,
yourself,
no,
I've got none.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know anybody in my family really that, unless they've hidden it really well and nobody knows about it. It's not openly spoken about or anything like that. I don't know of anyone. I'm the first. But yeah, I was born way back when, and I've got an older brother. I had mum and a dad, happily married, normal life. My dad was a fisherman and my mum was a stay-at-home mum. So there was no... I had a lovely, happy childhood. My mum did always say that I screamed as a baby all the time. Unless she was touching me, I screamed constantly.
So you
I
might
never
be fearful
slept.
from the start.
Yeah, I never slept. She said I never slept until I was out of the crib. I was in like a bed. So obviously... even way back then, being a baby, I must have felt trapped all the time. I even had to be sedated a few times because I never slept. My mum, you know, bless her, it must have been hard. Like, she'd forget my brother sometimes because he was so quiet and I was the complete opposite. She always said if I was her first, she'd never have another baby because I was that much hard work, and it's kind of gone on from there, really.
And it does make you wonder, doesn't it? Because in my childhood, not as a baby, but when I was a little one, I used to have these funny things, noises in my head and that, and you just reminded me of it. So I think there's something there right from really early.
Definitely, yeah, without a doubt. I used to wash my hands. I had OCD as well when I was younger. Still got it now. I had it when I was younger. I used to wash my hands in the boiling water till they bled.
When you were little?
Yeah. Wow. I had a real thing about washing my hands. Any time or excuse, anything I could get, I'd wash my hands till they bled and were raw. My mum used to have to hide soap in the end because I did it so badly.
And that wasn't copied? That was just something that
that was just a little phase I went through. I went through these phases quite a lot. Not that I know of, or... You know, because I was young, I don't really remember. We went on holiday twice abroad. The first time we went to Gozo when I was 5, loved it. It was a really good holiday. The second time I was 7, we went to Florida. There was really bad turbulence, and either on the way or the way home, I had a complete meltdown, and I've never been on an aeroplane since. I had to be sedated on that plane, and I've never been abroad since. I'd love to, but I think that's where everything started to come up to the surface. And then when I was 9, my cousin was murdered where I live, and it was a massive thing at the time. I remember coming home from school, seeing my mum, my dad, I'm presuming maybe aunties and uncles, I don't remember too clearly, but they were crying on the sofa. I'd been shut in a room all day at school, because obviously my mum rang the school, told them and said, you know, don't let anyone tell her. So I got home, I saw my mum and dad crying, and...
So you were close to...
Yeah, we saw them a lot because they didn't live very far from me. You know, my uncle and auntie and my cousins, and, you know, we all kind of were close together, and I didn't really understand what was going on either because I was only 9. It's a lot for a little 9-year-old. And then my dad obviously had to look after his brother, and, you know, there was a lot of press around. My dad had to get rid of the press and things like that. So it was a big upheaval and my nan died as well 7
all
days
these
after
traumas,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, she was my only grandparent. All the others had passed. My dad's dad died just after I was born, so obviously I don't remember him. So my nan used to come down every weekend with us and sleep, like stay, and you know, I loved seeing her, and you know, and that I think that is that trauma of that week of my cousin dying and my nan, my only grandparent, dying. I just remember hearing my mum wailing on the stairs when she got the phone call, and you know, something like that sticks with you. And there was a lot to deal with in that time, because obviously mum had to help plan her mum's funeral, my dad had to help his brother, and it was just a lot to go through at that time. And being 9, I didn't really understand it all. And I remember on the way to my nan's funeral, me and my cousin, we were singing, you know, that funeral theme tune, that da 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 da, like, because we didn't properly understand it. Or
we're too young.
Yeah, and we were in the limo. I presume it was the limo thing, and we were doing that, and you know, that's kind of how.
You don't take things serious when you're little like that. That's
no, you don't. You don't understand. You don't understand. You know what it is really, do you? You're not taught it from a young age.
It's funny you saying that, 'cause just now at work, my friend said, because she watched my one on here, she went, I didn't know you was that young, Lisa, when you lost your brother Larry. You were 17. And I said, yeah, it's really young. And I had never been to a funeral.
No.
We didn't know how to arrange a funeral. We didn't know any of the stuff that went with it. And it was, you're too young for these. I mean, he was even younger. Yeah. It's too much, too much trauma.
It's a lot, isn't it? And then, I don't know if it was before then, or I think it was a bit before, one of my friends who I went to Brownies with, she got run over and she died as well. So that was a lot of trauma in one little childhood to go through, and not really understanding any of it. And then I was about 11 when I had my first real panic attack of what I properly remember. We were going to my cousin's wedding in Oxford, and I was a bridesmaid, and it was a really rainy, misty day, and you know, by like the Tesco roundabout in Chai, we were going round there, and I tried to get out the car. They had to lock me in. I tried to climb in the front and jump out, and that was really where my travel anxiety went. Because
I don't think I had anything like that as a youngster. I just felt nervous, but that's a real full-on anxiety attack.
It was horrendous, and I didn't really give much thought of it after. And then they started happening more regularly. It would always happen on like a bus or when I'm travelling. I was going to go on holiday. I don't know. It's just something that was in me, and I still suffer that now. But it gets better. But and I never knew what was wrong with me back then, obviously. Like, I didn't know anxiety was a thing, or panic was a thing.
Did your parents recognise it?
Not really. I went to see a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist, I think. I used to go and see them quite regularly for my panic, because my mum started realising that actually they're happening more regularly. I wasn't sleeping out from home. I'm still like that now. I still don't like sleeping out from home. I was very much a hermit. I didn't go on school trips. I didn't do much. Pretty much stayed at home. And
is that because you knew you was going to get anxious about it?
Yeah, so I would avoid things. I would avoid anything that triggered me. And it just went on like that. And then I was about 13 when I had my first drink. Because there wasn't much to do in the village. We hung about and we walked about. And I always remember, like, I'd have 4 Bacardi Breezers and I was smashed, you know. And the first time I ever drank, I drank till I was sick, till I passed out.
And then thought, I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy. Like the school discos, we used to go to the school discos and we used to get paralytic.
Did you?
And I just thought that was normal. I thought everyone did it. I didn't notice that other people didn't do that. I used to steal the vodka from, I used to steal from the drink cupboard at home, fill up the vodka with water. That was always a classic trick. But it wasn't a problem then, not that I thought anyway.
But it's a problem for someone drinking at that age, isn't it?
Exactly, it's not normal,
and liking it.
Yeah, like I loved it.
Yeah, me
that
too.
whooshing feeling that I got when I drank, it took away my anxiety, and I thought, oh, that's it. If I have a drink, I haven't got to suffer.
Yeah.
Little did I know that was on the path to destruction. So that's how life went on, really. I left school, went to college, I did hairdressing, absolutely loved hairdressing, I still do now. Got a job, and then I fell pregnant at 19, well 18 I fell pregnant. The dad didn't want anything to do with her, so he's never met her. I brought her up entirely on my own.
That's tough as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, having a baby at 19 is hard anyway, let alone doing it completely on your own with no, you know, I've never had any financial help from him, no nothing. I'd rather have nothing at all than, you know, a half-hearted something. I was a good mum as well, you know, I really tried my hardest, because I used to go out on the weekends and binge drink, not when I was pregnant, after I had him, because my mum said, you know, you're still young, you still need to go out and have fun and experience life. And, you know, my mum was my world, she was my support, and you know, she really helped me bring up Caitlin. I didn't live at home, but she used to have her overnight, and I went back to work, and I used to...
So you could still have a so-called life.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Just because I had a baby, your world doesn't stop, does it? And, you know, if anything...
Got help, like babysitters and that, I was lucky as well.
Yeah.
And you got to suffer the hangovers of having the...
Yeah, oh God, the hangovers with the baby, Christ. No, that was hard work. That's why I didn't do it much then, because it was...
Too hard.
Yeah, exactly. I think if I was heavily on in my drinking, then it wouldn't have made a difference, but I still had some sort of control back then. I hadn't got to the point where I'd crossed that line yet.
Too.
I was more a binge drinker.
Still trying to bring them up beautifully.
Exactly. Being a good mum, I used to go out to work all the time. I used to walk an hour the other side of Chide to take her to a childminder, pay the childminder, go back to work, and then go and walk there again and get her and take her home. You know, I did everything I could to be a good mum.
Yeah. See, this is it. Because at that point, at your point, and that point I was at then, there is no way I was going to ever let my kids down.
No,
There's
never.
no way I'm ever going to put drink or anything in front of them.
No.
So that's what people don't understand, and you do.
Yeah.
And me being me, I cannot understand that.
No,
but I can, because the drink is such the pull is so strong, as we both know.
Yeah.
But you know, you sound very much like me, that you wanted to bring this child up in the best possible way. And I was on my own a lot. I was with someone, but I've done a lot on my own.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of myself.
Yeah, you just want to be a good mum, and you want to give your kids the world. And, you know, I didn't want to be a typical single mum. And, you know, I've always had a lot of pride about going to work and working hard.
We got ill, that's another thing. We got ill.
Exactly,
we didn't get horrible, we got ill.
No, and as well, I think a lot of the misconceptions about alcohol as well is you choose to do, you might choose in the first place to have a drink, but you do not choose to be an addict or an alcoholic.
And other people choose
you.
and other people choose to do it, and they don't get hooked on it.
No, exactly.
They're lucky, they haven't got that gene or whatever that is, chemical imbalance, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You know, they drink as much as us, but luckily they didn't get that switch saying, you've got to keep on doing this now.
Yeah, exactly.
No choice.
And I think they're never going to understand that,
no,
are they? Because
they
don't have
put
that
it inside
them. Yeah. And I think, well, you put a lot of stuff inside yourself, but you're not addicted. You know, it's just the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
This is why I want to talk about it more. People need to understand.
Yeah.
It's very old-fashioned still.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
you think, oh well, they've put that drug in their system. They're choosing that.
Yeah.
You're not. You've obviously got something missing in you to want to do that in the first place.
And what a lot of people try and just get away with, people with our condition, you can't try and get away with it.
No, you're hooked.
Hook, line and sinker.
Yeah, even though you might not know you're hooked.
For a while,
But you are.
Yeah.
It takes you, doesn't it? And it slowly, it's like an onion, isn't it? It slowly takes the layers off you till there's nothing left. And then you've got to build these layers back around you again.
Yeah,
and
which we do.
Yeah.
Which we have.
Exactly. But yeah, it went on like that anyway. I carried on getting bad, and my mum, I'd been out shopping for my daughter's 7th birthday with my mum, and we'd been to Tesco's and everything like that, and got all the bits for the party, and you know, I always did things like that. And that night my dad rang me just after midnight, so it was my daughter's birthday at this point. I'd just gone to bed after decorating the house and wrapping everything, and you know, doing everything you do as a mum, and my dad rang me and said, oh, the paramedics are working on mum. And I said, what do you mean?
You just been with her?
Yeah. And I said, what do you mean? And he went, Mum's had a heart attack. And I was like, oh, what's wrong with her? Like, it didn't register because I was with her that day. She was perfectly fine. The only thing she said, she had pins and needles in her hands, which we now know is a sign. Yeah. But she always had it because she had arthritis. So we just
didn't recognise it. Yeah.
No, we had no clue. She had no signs, no symptoms. But that happened, and it took 45 minutes to get her heart going. So Caitlin woke up at that point. It was about 1 o'clock at this point. So she opened all her presents. My best friend, she's more like my sister. She used to live with us when we were younger. And I rung her and she come round because she called mum and dad and things like that. So she come round, we opened Caitlin's presents. I went back to hers because I couldn't sleep. I didn't want to be on my own. I couldn't sleep.
What, so your mum had passed?
She hadn't passed then,
okay.
No, they got her heart going after 45 minutes. They were taking her to QA. To try and they cool the body down because it cools the brain down or something. They drop your body temperature because your body can heal then. She was on life support. So that whole day was a blur really. I took Caitlin to school. We did all her birthday stuff in the morning as usual. Took her to school. Then me and Roxanne went straight up the hospital, met my dad and my brother. And I remember going there and I didn't quite understand the extent of how poorly Mum was. I thought, you had a heart attack, you're in hospital, she'll be all right.
And you're wanting to think that as well.
Yeah, and I remember walking in and seeing her on life support and I just collapsed. The nurse had to pick me up because my mum was my life to me. She was my support system, she was Caitlin's support, she was everything to all of us. And none of us obviously expected it. It was just a complete shock. So we had to get all the family round, things like that. And we just had to be patient and wait for that day. We had to wait for results. You know, there's not a lot they can do. They have to wait. And so we did all that. I took Caitlin out for dinner for her birthday because it's still her birthday. You've got to carry on as normal for them, haven't you? She was only 7, bless her. It was my nephew's birthday as well. He was 3 that day. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he would have been 3. So my brother did the same. And it was when I was at dinner with Caitlin, we went to Smith & Weston. And bless my family, a lot of my mum's side of the family, they all showed up there in support. So we all had dinner. I remember even having my mum's favourite meal from there as like, it sounds really bizarre, doesn't it? But I thought maybe if I have this, she might get better. And, you know, you do things like that, don't you, when you're in desperate times. And, you know, and it was when Caitlin was having the belly buster, you know, when they sing and bring it out. That's when my brother rang and said, she's brain dead, you've got to come and say goodbye. So I had to phone all her friends' mums and get them to come pick them up. And so me, Roxanne's mum was there at this point, she'd come, and all our girls, because Roxanne's got 4 girls, and we all went up the hospital. And I always remember the kids running upstairs going, we're going to go and see Nanny. They were really excited. They thought Nanny was better. And we had to sit down and say, no, you've got to say goodbye to Nanny now. Nanny's got to go to heaven. It was heartbreaking, but I tell you, kids are so resilient. They took it in their stride. They went and saw her. They said goodbye. You know, it was.
So that's another case of being open and honest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just dealing with it.
Exactly. Rather than shielding them from it, you might as well. You know, even the intensive care nurses said, you know, they need to. It helps with the process. It makes them understand, and we don't talk about death enough. I don't think. I think it's very much a hidden.
And we have to. That's why so many people are getting
life.
Mental health and that, isn't it? Because like we have to get it all out.
Yeah, exactly.
And we do, and we're so lucky.
Yeah,
we do this when we go to our groups, don't we?
Exactly. So lucky. So anyway, long story short, my mum passed away, and she donated her organs, which was lovely. We got a letter back from one of them saying that he used to read to his daughter every night. He had her liver, and she used to read to him every night. No, he used to read to his daughter every night and say that he never knew if it would be the last time he'd read to her. So he thanked us, and it just, you know, that makes it worthwhile. Not worthwhile, but, you know, it makes it easier to cope with. So from that point on, I pretty much was numb for a long time. I didn't drink at all for the first month maybe. I couldn't. I I didn't need anything to make me numb because I was numb.
Felt like it anyway.
And it was after the funeral when it
all goes quiet.
Yeah,
all the stuff's been done.
I started getting panicky at night, so I thought, I'll have a glass of wine, calm my nerves. And it really progressed so quickly. That's how I know it's an illness as well, because it's certain things in my life that trigger things to, it skips a bit, doesn't it? And, I got really bad. There's no other way to describe it. It just got bad. I acted like I didn't care about anything, but I cared about everything. I just didn't know how to cope with anything. My mum was dead and I kind of was lost. I was broken. Yeah, I was absolutely broken. And I still wanted to be a good mum, obviously. So, and you are for the most part, but then alcohol started to take control of me other than the other way round. I partied a lot. I did drugs. I used to manipulate doctors into giving me Valium. Anything to numb myself and to not feel, and you become very selfish, and it's not a choice you're willingly making. It's the alcohol makes you do it, and I find it really hard to describe what it's like, but you've lost all control by this point, haven't you? There's nothing you can do. I tried to stop so many times. I tried to stop. I started daily drinking. I remember Caitlin once, she caught me in the morning swigging from vodka from a bottle, and she went, Mummy, I think you're an alcoholic.
She's so little. And
that broke me. I said, I think I might be. And that was the first time that I'd admitted that something wasn't right. It took a while still to get into recovery.
So was you thinking you was doing all this because you lost your mum?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And then before that, I thought I was doing it because of my anxiety.
Yeah.
I didn't
Always
know.
Finding a reason.
Yeah, I didn't know what an alcoholic was. I didn't know it was an illness.
Why would you? Yeah.
I like how everyone thinks. I thought it was somebody who was
really old.
Yeah, really old on a park bench, swigging from a little brown paper bag. I didn't know there was places you could go to get help. I did go to the doctors when I was early 20s maybe, and said, I don't think I drink normally. There's something wrong with me, because I was binge drinking. And when if I went out on the weekend, I would always be the one who got in trouble. I'd lose my bag, I'd lose my purse, I'd do things that I am not even remotely proud of, but
you lose everything.
And I wouldn't know I've done it either. It was only when people told me in the morning that I'd done that I still wouldn't have a clue now that I'd done it.
And that's blackout. I try to explain to people, because that's something I didn't understand either.
No.
But blackout is you're doing stuff wide awake, looking wide awake, but
you're not there.
It's not just the memory. It's not like you've forgotten it.
Yeah.
You was never there while you're doing it.
No.
You're completely not there.
Yeah, and I've gotten into a lot of trouble in blackouts.
And it's dangerous.
Yeah, falling out with a lot of friends over blackouts. I kissed one of my friend's boyfriends once, apparently in blackout, and I to this day have not laughing. I have no recollection, and I would never, if I was sober, I never would in a million dreams do that.
He shouldn't have done it either.
I was probably drunk as well. You know what it is?
No, but that's something that you really had to live with.
I hated it, and I still, every time I see my friend who I've done that to, we laugh about it now, obviously, but I
cringe.
She couldn't get through her head that I genuinely couldn't remember.
Do you know, I was just going to say that, because as much as you can say, I'm so sorry, I didn't know I was doing it, they're still thinking, well, you did. You did know, because you were doing it.
But I had no clue. No. I still, to this day, have no clue that if nobody had told me I'd done that, I wouldn't have had a clue that I'd done it. And I've done so much in blackout. It's scary how your body can still function in blackout.
And I mean, even with my own family, people have said things and done things, and because they were drunk, you don't want to tell them, because they're really nice people.
Yeah.
And they don't know they've done it, and you don't want to embarrass them by saying they've done this thing as well. Yeah. It didn't happen to me in the end, but because it's another thing, I don't say anything because they'd had a drink, and it was like a bit cringe. Yeah. And like if we had a family party, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd be like, what did I do? Yeah, and I'd have to go to before my mum died, I'd be like, and she'd be like, oh, you need to go and apologise to your dad. And I'd be like, what did I do?
Like, and that's
you
horrible.
have to gauge their reaction.
Yeah, because I genuinely would have no clue what I had done, like, that was so horrendous. And I'd know that I would never in a million years do anything.
It's like Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just awful.
I think we're the ones, because we've stopped, and we've stayed stopped now for a long time. And because I think I always had a conscience about it. Like some people are like, oh, whatever, I was drunk. I was never like that. I was like, oh, I can't live with this. I can't keep feeling this bad, especially for my boys.
Yeah.
Like them seeing you so drunk and acting out of character. I had a conscience and wanted to change it. Yeah. But I couldn't until I did. But it was still too hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not openly talked about, so you don't know what's wrong with you. You don't know where to go to get help. You don't know why you can't just stop. I mean, the amount of times that I'd managed to kind of sort myself out for a little bit and be all right for a couple of days, and then I'd say to Caitlin, "Oh, I'm just going to have a glass of wine tonight."
Famous last words.
And why did I do that? I didn't know why. And that
I don't know if you felt the same as me, but I remember thinking to myself, and it was my son who I remember sitting in a car, and I thought to myself, once things get a little, my life picks up, because I'd had a trauma. And I thought, well, after it picks up, so I'm feeling shit about life, I'm feeling depressed at the moment, and when I come out of that, then my drink will be okay. Yeah. But I remember my son, he would have been 18, 20, something like that, and he said to me, Mum, you can't drink again. I think I was still drinking. You can't ever drink like a normal person. And he recognised that more than I did. But I thought it'd be okay when my life picks up. Yeah. But it's not. Once it's got you.
Oh, that's it. There's no going back. Yeah. It's like it's got its claws in you so deep, hasn't it? Yeah. And I think it'll always have its claws in me. Yeah. And that's how I like to think of it as well. I think of like alcoholism, addiction as like a little person, and it'll always have its claws in me. Yeah. But because you're never free of it, are you?
Well, I think it is as a switch. Yeah. Because I've only got to have that one drink, and that switch is going to be back on.
Exactly. Yeah. And
it's off at the moment. Yeah. If that drink goes in, it's on like that. Yeah. And you're exactly. We've got our own way of thinking about it, haven't we? But as long as we do know.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It was learning about it, and I got so bad in the end that I said to my best friend, I can't be a mum anymore. I can't do it at the moment. It's not fair on her.
It's a bit like can she? Isn't it?
Yeah. And I was like, can you look after her? Can she live with you for a bit so I can get better? Because I didn't want to be like that anymore. I got to the point where I was so ill every day. I was drinking God knows what every day, all night. That's all I did. I didn't eat. All I did was drink. And going to the shop at 7 in the morning to go and get your alcohol because you're throwing up and you're shaking and you're sweating.
You need it.
It's not nice. It's not fun. It's not easy, is it? You're trapped.
It's that craving, isn't it? I've just got to get it. I've got to get it.
And you're so ill if you don't physically have it. I went to like a government type place, government funded type place to go and get better, and I really tried. I went there. I did really well.
Like a day programme?
Yeah.
But then,
well, it wasn't a day programme, no.
Drinking and all that?
No? Yeah, in the government one they were, and that's what I tried.
Can't do it.
So I tapered down, and I'd sometimes manage, depending how far in I was, how far I was drinking at that point, and.
But alcoholics can't control drinking.
No, and I would manage to taper down, but then the next day I'd go back and I'd have a drink again. I used to go to these meetings in the place, the funded place, and I'd lie through my teeth because I don't know why I would. It would just come out, and I'd stop at the pub before, have a drink. I'd go into these meetings. I'd leave. I'd go to the pub and have a drink again.
That's quite a familiar story though, because we're not ready. You're not ready until you're ready.
No, exactly. Yeah. And I didn't understand what was wrong with me, and then it just got worse again because I lost custody of Caitlin. She wasn't allowed to live with me. So she had to live with Roxanne and Dean. Thank God that they were there. I lived with Roxanne's mum for a bit, and she helped me taper down, which I managed to do. And then, again, I don't know why I drank again. I lived with my dad to try and taper down and get well, and I managed that, and then I drank again. I lived with my cousin Yachten,
all these things you're trying to do,
yeah,
apart from actually stop drinking.
Which is what the government funded place told me to do as well. So I did everything that I was meant to do. I didn't know what else to do, so I just did it. But then I left my cousins. I was really bad at this point. I couldn't barely walk. I couldn't barely talk. I was really poorly. And then I had a big meeting at the government place to try, and my dad wanted me to go into rehab, and we had a big row with them in there. He was saying, look, she's dying. This is after multiple suicide attempts that I've done. I used to self-harm from a really young age as well, and all these things, it all intertwines together, I think. It's all to do with the alcoholism. And we had a big row. My dad had a heart attack that night.
Oh God.
And I just drank because I didn't know what to do. No one was talking to me at this point. I was kind of on my own, because it was too hard for them to watch me slowly kill myself.
They can't keep watching it.
No, it's horrendous for them. It's not nice at all. I wouldn't want to watch anyone do that. Especially your daughter or your mum or anything. It must be really hard.
I've got this thing as well that I think mums, because I was the mum, I think it's worse for a female and a mum. Because you expect men to be rowdying up the pub and drinking. You don't expect your mum.
No.
It's not acceptable for anyone to act out paralytic drunk and that. But
no.
I just always felt it was worse. My dad was an alcoholic, and I've always been thinking, thank God my mum isn't.
Yeah.
And then I was.
I know, it's just horrible, isn't it? And that's the one thing that I wish, is that I got sober while my mum was alive, so she could see the person I truly am.
She can.
I know she can, but I believe that she's up there helping me. That's my way of thinking about it.
That's a good way of thinking.
But my dad went into hospital, and I went in, I think the day after, because I was really poorly. I just, after I left my cousins and we had that meeting, I went hell-bent. I wanted to die. I used to ring my dad in the middle of the night and be like, I'm sorry, I'm such a burden. And I genuinely believed that if I died, everyone would be better off without me, including Caitlin. That's how the illness gets you.
You're suffering from depression anyway, and then you're putting alcohol on top of it, which is making it more, just fueling the fire. So you just there's no way out.
No.
Unless, because another thing I want to say, doctors try and help. This government thing try and help. No one can help an alcoholic except for joining a group. We go to AA, a group of people talking to each other, and then lots of other work to do around that. And abstinence.
Exactly.
It's the only answer. People say, well, I'm going to go onto this medication, I'm going to do it. You can't.
I did that.
It has to be complete abstinence. You have to feel the raw feelings, get it all out, spew it out. That's the answer.
Cry, have a meltdown,
That's
do whatever you need to do.
And keep spewing it out. That's what you've got to do. You can't, anything in here, all the resentment, all the anxiety, all the poor me stuff, it's all got to come out.
It feeds the addiction.
And the more people that know this, because people go to the doctor still. What can I do? There's only one answer.
And a lot of the doctors as well, they don't know.
They don't understand.
No.
I work in a surgery. It's very hard for them to because it's not a pill. It's not a prescription.
No.
It's a life change.
It's something that you've got to do.
You've got to do it yourself.
You've got to get to the point, haven't you, with the two roads. You're either going to go down the road where you carry on and you die,
or stop,
or you want to get recovery. And I didn't want to be like that anymore. I tried
and we're
so
the lucky
hard.
Ones. We're very, very lucky to find it and stick with it.
I mean, I couldn't stop in the end because I was so physically addicted. I had to go into hospital. They kept me in and they detoxed me, and my God, that was the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. I'd rather give birth again than go through another detox. They give you just enough to kind of keep you steady. I couldn't do that. I was so ill.
It was like
I saw tarantulas.
Oh yeah, I didn't have that.
I saw tarantulas. My best friend used to come around and I'd be arguing with someone in the room that I'd be seeing that's trying to murder me.
What do they call that? I can't think now.
No. But I had delirium tremens. I had all of that. It was horrendous. I can't even explain how horrible that was. But the fact that I went into hospital and I was there for a week being detoxed off alcohol, I sat there, I did it. I didn't leave. I'm so lucky that I was able, you know, that they kept me in and they did that, because it's not easy to get a hospital to do that to you. But I was so poorly that that was my only option. It was either that or I would have died.
I took myself to A&E and I was sent home again.
Yeah, I was in and out of there. Yeah. But this time they kept me. I think they realised that, you know...
This is bad.
Yeah. So I was detoxed, and it was hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But
the hardest thing and the best thing.
Exactly. It was the best thing, and that's really where my life started again. I truly believe that, you know, that was... You know, you have to break down to nothing to build yourself back up again. And that's what I started to do. I had a child protection meeting with social services. So
had you been seeing Caitlin sort of on and off in
this
time?
Yeah. As soon as I was released from hospital, I went straight round my best friend's, kind of fell in her arms, cuddled her, told her I was sorry, that I loved her, and, you know, everything like that. She never once gave up on me, my best friend, ever.
Mine was like that as well.
You know, I wouldn't be here today without her, or my family, obviously. But yeah, I went and saw her, and I went and saw Caitlin, and then I just stayed at home because I was too scared to go out. I didn't want to drink again. I was too scared to go to the shop. Didn't trust myself. But from that moment, I went into hospital. I've never had a drink since, you know.
How long ago was that?
Nearly 5, it'll be 5 years in August. Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it?
August 18th. Yeah. Crazy. I can't believe it. But yeah, I went to social services meeting, and that's when I went to treatment. I went 3 months daily to the day programme, and that is where I started to understand.
And that's an abstinence programme.
Yeah, that's where I met other alcoholics.
Yeah.
That's where I met other people in recovery. That's where I started.
That's where it starts, isn't it?
That's where my life started again. And everybody around me started to see the change in me. I didn't see it myself. I still, obviously, I see bits myself now because I'm you know, sober and in recovery and things like that. But that's truly where my life started. I learned how to feel without filling it with something. I learned what an alcoholic was. I learned that it's the first drink that does the damage. Don't pick up the first drink and you won't go on that train again.
I didn't get that for ages.
Yeah, it's only because we were taught that. You know, we went every day and we had like therapy in the morning, like we'd have to say how our day was the day before and things like that. And that's really where I learned to talk, and I was like a rabbit in headlights. I didn't know anything. I went to that place and I was so timid and scared, and because learning to live your life without alcohol, it's weird, isn't it? Because you don't know how to do it, because I had never done it. From a very young age I drank, so learning to live my life without alcohol was strange, but I loved it. You know, I really
embraced it.
Yeah. And
you have to.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to want it. You can't do it half-heartedly.
No, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And like, unless you're an alcoholic or an addict like us, then you're not going to get. But I loved rehab. I loved it. It was the best thing.
Because you're around people that are going through the same stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like-minded people. And you feel like I think we've always had this. Lots of people. I don't know you. This bit that you're outside the world looking in, and you don't fit into any category.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you feel at home. And like, this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah. And you only need to say one thing to another alcoholic or an addict, and they just get you. Like, because I don't think my brain is wired like a normal person.
It's not.
Because
no,
clearly it's not. But
not me.
No, mine's not either. But yeah, I could say something to someone and they'd look at me like what? But yeah, I could say it to an alcoholic or an addict and they'll completely understand where I'm coming from. And that's what I love about it. You know, it's
knowing that someone else feels like yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of when I first started drinking like heavily and things, I thought everyone did it. Then at the end of my drinking, I thought there was no one like me. I thought I was the only one in the world like this, and that I couldn't understand why. And then you meet other people and you hear and you think, oh, I did that.
I'm like
oh, I did that. Oh yeah, I'm the same as you. And you know, in a way, it's comforting, isn't it? Because you finally. You're like, oh, okay, that's what's wrong. And the relief you
and
know,
knowing there's an answer, and knowing you just,
Exactly.
you just keep doing the right thing,
Yeah.
and doing what's suggested,
Yeah.
and you know you get healthier.
Mm.
You know you're starting to be able to talk out. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine being told, like, 'cause we talk in front of lots of people, don't we now?
Yeah.
Without anyone intervening, and we just talk, and we can. I mean, I used to cross the road to avoid
Yeah, me
people
too.
because I was going to get tongue tied, and what am I going to say? And
Yeah.
project what you know. Am I going to lose my words? You know, all that crap.
Yeah.
We just sit there and we just talk, don't we?
Yeah. And
that's a revelation in
yeah,
itself.
exactly. And I love living a 12-step life now.
Yeah.
You know, it's such, I'm not going to say easy because that's not the right word, but it's such a freeing way to
It's
live.
easier than being.
Definitely, yeah.
Do you remember those last days when you're having to get drink, having to keep going and finding drink, and there's never enough drink in the world in the end, is there? There's never enough.
No, I'd always buy a big bottle, like before I got really bad, and I'd be like, that'll last me a few days.
But in an hour.
All gone, yeah. And I'd be like,
I know.
oh no, I've got to go out and get more.
When I think the extent and the amount, it's shocking.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
Because when my normal friends are like a bit peeved or a bit worried that they've done a bottle of wine in an evening, and that was my starter.
Yeah, exactly.
That
I
was
do
fine,
that,
wasn't
like,
it?
you know, that would be gone in 5
And
minutes.
it was just, I remember thinking,
It was 2 glasses.
yes, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't know how to sip anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know how to sip.
I used to drink it out the bottle.
Glug.
Yeah.
I
I
did.
never bothered to pour it in a glass in the end.
Well, I did sometimes, only when
Oh,
I
I
was
never
glass.
did. No.
It sounds, I mean, that is
Yeah,
horrific,
that was
isn't
my
it?
normal though. That was like, keep a bottle of vodka under my bed.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I'd need it in the morning or
I
through the
remember,
night
yeah.
if I woke up.
And I used to, say when the boys come round or someone was round, I used to hide it because I keep having to keep going back for a little top up.
Yeah.
You couldn't just be out and drinking like normal
No,
anymore, 'cause I'd gone
no.
past that stage.
Yeah.
I was a mess. So I'd hide it. There'd be like proper amount, half a bottle of wine, which is a nice amount only for one
Yeah, exactly.
sitting.
Yeah.
But I'd lose it in my house.
Yeah, me
And,
too.
and I'm frantic, and I know I can't go out and get any more because they know where I'm going.
Yeah.
That is horrible. That's the
used
most
to-
horrible,
yeah.
frantic thing. But it's there in front of you somewhere.
I
That's how gone you've gone.
Yeah.
It's literally over there somewhere.
And I used to hide it from myself as well in the cupboard.
Yeah, I
I'd
heard
be
that,
like,
that's mental, isn't it?
I've got to hide it. And you know, I'd go out late at night and I'd leave Caitlin alone, bless her. And I'd be like, I'm just going to get some chocolate,
Yeah.
you know. And I made her lie for me, all sorts that I did. And you know, no parent should do that to a child. But that's where it takes you. That's why I wasn't fit to look after her. And you know, I left the day program and she come home, and you know, she come home a week before Christmas. And it was the best thing ever. And you know, we're really close now. And she's just left school. You know, I work pretty much full time now, and you know, life is so different, and I love it now.
Yeah.
And I'm
We
really
actually
close
do
with
love it,
all
don't
my
we?
family.
I wonder if some people think we're just saying this, you know, we've got a really good night, but I actually love being sober now.
Yeah, me too.
And I thought I'd hate it.
Yeah.
But I did to begin with. I've got to be honest. I thought, why me? Why didn't my friends get it? Why didn't my sisters get it? Why didn't I think my brothers did have it, but why, you know, everyone else who I used to go and party with, they never all got this.
Yeah.
Why can't I? I'd give my right arm to be a normal drinker again. But the things I've seen, every situation that's been bad in my life has been down to drink or drugs.
Yeah. Same.
Not just me doing it, other people as well. Everything that's bad has come from that. But we would keep going and going with it.
Yeah.
And going and going with it.
Yeah.
But I remember my son's so knowledgeable. I remember he shouldn't even have to have these conversations with me when I was in a toxic relationship, not with their dad, I had a fiance at the time, and I remember my Jack saying to me, "You never thought about trying doing this sober, have you? Because when you both had a lot of drink, you'd end up rolling around drunk and fighting and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, leaving him and coming home again. Have you not tried doing it sober?" I remember actually thinking, no, why would I do that?
Yeah.
What's the point?
It just didn't even enter your head, did it? No.
Life without drink.
No.
No.
And now I can't imagine
Can't
my life.
bear it.
I think I always freely say this now. I'd rather die than have a drink again.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
I could not go through that torture again,
No.
and put my family and friends through that again.
No. And when you get time under your belt, like I can't wait till my anniversary in September, 'cause that's another year. That's 11 years, and I'd hate to lose all that now.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand to go back because you have to go back. You have to go back to day one.
Yeah, yeah,
again.
yeah.
Because when we first come in, it's like 1 week, 1 month.
Yeah.
And then I remember looking at people 10 years in and thinking, how do you ever get there?
Yeah.
And now I'm coming up to 11, and it does go quick. Like one day leads into another, and it goes very quick. But I say this as well. I thought I was too young. I was 42. I wish I would have been younger.
Yeah.
Years and years ago, because it's cool not to drink. It's not. I think people who don't drink are a bit lame. You know.
Yeah.
Who wants to be one of them?
But actually, it's more common than people
are
realise.
giving up without being alcoholic.
Yeah, exactly, because they're realising that actually it's just not good for you.
And it's more than normal. See, when I was a young girl, say people would visit us, they'd have tea and coffee, cup of tea. And as years went on in my house, particularly, the kettle didn't go on after 4 or 5. It would be have a wine, have a beer.
Yeah.
And that's the way the world is now, more, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think people are seeing more health side of things. Hopefully, that it's not great. It's not good.
No.
You know, anything in moderation's okay, but
I haven't got that moderation. I haven't got it in any aspect of my life. I have got the disease of more. I want more of everything. Yeah.
Oh, well, you've done really well, and life's turned out just right.
Definitely, And my life to other people might think, oh, it's well boring. She don't go on holidays. She don't do this. But compared to what my life was when I was drinking, I didn't do anything. I barely left the house. So now I love it.
But
I
who's
love
to say that's not to come in the future? You might want to get on an aeroplane again.
Yeah.
I'm
always battling my anxiety.
Yeah, but that's something you can address. You know, you can't fix everything all at once.
No, I took a long time to get like this. I'm going to take a long time to undo the damage.
And you know, you things just we both know things progress in a better way, and they get better and better. And
definitely, yeah.
But I still make mistakes, and I still get things wrong, and I'm still working on the way I've got to, you know, I'm quite a long time sober, but I'm still doing things that I did to drink on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, don't keep, you know, think about what you want, think about what's good for you. Well, you have to come back to a different kind of selfishness, because you can't keep people pleasing all the time.
No. And I'm terrible for that.
Yeah, there's things you do wrong.
Such a bad people pleaser.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's recovery, isn't it? You're forever learning.
Yeah.
There is no destination. It's just a journey.
Keep on learning.
Yeah.
Keep on bettering yourself.
Exactly. And you know,
right
I'm a good mum now.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm a good daughter, and you know, I love my dad and my brother and my nieces and nephews, my best friend, everything. You know, I'll do anything for them, and I'm very close with all of them now.
That support network.
Yeah, definitely, and they can rely on me now, which I love.
Yeah.
You know, I am reliable now, whereas before I wasn't at all. No. You know, the only thing that they could rely on was me being drunk. You know, whereas now it doesn't. You know,
think of your future. So you've got your daughter now is becoming a young woman. Then she'll go on to have children and that. Imagine you're drinking. You'll never get part of that.
No.
You'll never be part. I was thinking this because I look after my grandchildren. You know, as often as I can. They live way away. But if I was still drinking, even if when I was thought of myself as not a bad drinker, I would still be thinking I'll have 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And that would have been 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're looking after these little. Because that was in my normal days. But you know, we wouldn't be looking after grandchildren, and we won't be doing all the nice things with our kids, and
no,
you know, they'd have probably disowned us anyway by such a point.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine were ready to.
Yeah,
but you know.
And you know, if my daughter has children, hopefully they'll never see their nan drink. Yeah. You know, how good would that be?
Brilliant.
Like, they'll just see a stable person.
Yeah.
And my daughter, you know, even though I've put her through hell a lot of the time when I was drinking, we've both come out of it so much stronger. And I think you have to go through these things in life to get where you want to be and where you need to be.
I think the word you use just sends really the icing on the cake in a stable life.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Stable, crave, isn't it? That's
stability.
Yeah,
we've got a routine, stability. She starts college in September, and you know, I live my life for her, obviously, and for me. But for her now, I want her to.
It's paying back. I always say this as well. Every day I'm sober is another apology to my boys.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the way to make amends.
You can't correct what you did, and you can't make it any better. But by proving you're so dedicated to this new lifestyle.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah.
And you.
Yeah.
You know, that's amends in itself.
Exactly, and you know, I'm quite happy to still go out with friends that do drink and things like that. But I know when I've had enough, I know
we have to get off, don't we?
Yeah, I just say, you know, all my friends as well. I'm very open about being in recovery.
Yeah.
It's the best way for me personally.
I wish people were more.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
Don't be ashamed of it.
No.
See, I said this as well. We're ashamed of. You know, I'm too embarrassed to say I'm an alcoholic. I'm too embarrassed to go to AA. I'm too embarrassed to say I had a drink problem. But you're all right rolling down the road at the pub.
Exactly.
Falling out of a taxi.
Yeah, jumping in bushes.
You've seen people wetting themselves
Yeah.
out in the open, the trousers falling down, but you're too embarrassed to say you're better in it.
Mad.
Yeah.
The amount of times that my friends would, you know, get a call like from the people in the pub saying, "Oh, she's in the toilet, passed out again," and you know, it's just insane. How? Why wasn't I embarrassed about that yet? I was embarrassed to go, I need help.
Yeah, and like, you know, like, a lot of people don't want to do this. You know, that's everyone's choice.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't feel like I need to protect my. I'm proud of saying it, and if I can help anyone, then I will.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't need to hide that I had a drink. I had. No, we've got. If we are saying and telling people this is an illness, then we've got to expect the people to understand it was an illness. And why should we be shy?
Exactly.
I don't get that bit. And you know, everyone's their own, and I respect their wishes on that.
Yeah.
But I don't get. I mean, you know, if you had cancer, you're not embarrassed to say you've had that and you're recovering from it. So this is a mental illness.
Yeah.
So
people don't realise it's a mental illness, though,
no,
do they?
That's what we got. You know,
I think until people get the word out there more, and there's more help for people, then people aren't going to know, are they?
Exactly.
You know, you're going to be known as the selfish alcoholic, and that's not the case. When you get to know someone, or even in active alcoholism, instead of just thinking, "Oh, they're selfish," why not think actually they desperately need help? They're really not well.
Yeah.
And they're, you know, just taking 5 minutes out of your day could make a difference to them.
And it's also, the thing is as well though, looking at the big picture, it's quite scary. It's quite scary to see, because we get so bad.
Yeah.
We get so bad. I mean, people that don't know that I've had that problem can't imagine what I was like.
Yeah.
But at the end, I was so ill, and I went mad.
Oh, I went completely
I literally
insane.
lost my mind.
Yeah.
And it's quite scary to confront someone like that.
Oh, definitely.
I wouldn't have wanted to confront me.
No, because yeah, exactly.
You know,
and if you can get to people before then, that's the time to do it, isn't it? And, you know, have a little bit more compassion. Don't just think about them in a horrible way.
100%.
You know, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
You wouldn't laugh at someone who's got a gaping wound walking down the street. That's how I think of it, isn't it? Well, you wouldn't, would you?
That's what you said. Oh, that's brilliant. I think we've. I hope that's helped. You know, whoever listens to this, I think that's going to really help some people to kind of break this bloody stigma.
Yeah, there is a way out. You don't have to live like that.
Perfect. Thank you, Kerri.
That's all right. Thank you.